I'm never ready. Hi, everyone. This is Lushia. And today we have an interesting topic. We're going to be talking about disability and how our neurodivergences and disabilities affect us, how society affects us and stuff, just our basic experience. And I have with me Jaden. Say hi, Jaden.
Hello.
And Mira.
Hi.
So these are two friends of mine who also have disabilities and neurodivergences. I thought they could be very valuable to this conversation because we relate on a lot of stuff. Hi, Danny. Welcome to the stream. So
hey, how are you?
If you'll see these little chat heads. So whenever we talk, you'll see us light up so you'll know who's who. The Lushia host account is there just for technical reasons, just to make sure that I'll be able to walk away from my computer while we're doing this. I'm actually going to be multitasking while we're talking for most of this. I haven't even made coffee yet. I haven't started my day. It's a weird day.
Oh, wow.
So why don't we start by... I have an idea. Okay, if you guys are good with this, I want you to say your name, your age, and two things about you. Just anything. It could be something you do for a living. It could be something you like to do, like hobbies. It could be the color of your hair. It could be how big your left foot is. No, I don't know, not really. Oh wait, we already said your name, so
first, Jaden.
So
I'm trying not to talk too much. I apologize. Okay. Yep, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, so I'm Jaden. I am a writer, published writer, and I am also autistic.
Yay. I'll let Mira go first before me.
I am Mira. I will be 29 by the 1st. I am currently a craft store worker, but by the 17th I'll be a meat market worker. And I primarily enjoy crafting and listening to music and anything that makes me smile. And
Cool. Hey Mira, you might want to adjust your voice sensitivity because I think it's cutting you off a little bit. You'll want to make it more. You want to make that little bar more green.
I apologize.
It's okay. It cut you off at the very end. I kind of got what you said though. So
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Lushia. I'm 28 years old. I'm also autistic, and we'll go into more detail about that. Well, we all know I'm a streamer and stuff, and I have too many hobbies. It's crazy. My favorite hobby though is working on my novel, writing. Not really. I haven't really gotten to writing it yet, but I'm working on it. So, hi everyone. Hi Paxton. Paxton's here. Thanks Jaden for saying hi to everybody. I didn't have my my Twitch up. Sorry. I have forgotten that we have viewers. Get out of here. This is a private conversation that we're streaming in a public place.
Oh my god, I love you,
I'm
Lushia.
kidding. You're welcome. You're welcome to stay forever.
God. That
Please
is
don't
funny.
stay forever, because sometimes I need to, go off and use the bathroom and stuff, and I really don't want you following me. So,
I love you.
Aw, thank you, Paxton. That was kind of you. So, the little donation goal on the screen, by the way, that is to help me get this really ridiculous little gift for myself because I'm having a hard time financially because with medical bills and everything. I saw this actually a friend showed me this. He has one of these, and it's a Pirates of the Caribbean snow globe thing, and it's absolutely fantastic. And I'm like, I want it because it's like it's a special interest when I was younger, and I still love Pirates of the Caribbean. I love it. But in order to donate towards the donation goal, you have to press. You have to type in ! and donate. Hold on. Boop. That'll send you to a link. This is a direct link to donate to me. This is actually a lot more useful for me than bits, to be honest, because they go directly to me, and Twitch doesn't take any chunk out of there, so it all goes towards me. So anyway, Paxton, thanks for joining, even if it was like for 2 seconds, and try to survive at work. Good luck. Oh, and Danny introduced himself, says, hi, I'm Danny. I'm 41 years old. I like waffles. I like talking about neurodiversity. My hair is brown and I'm very laid back. Yes. I think I knew most of it about you. I didn't know about the waffles part, though. I mean, I know I like waffles. Who doesn't like waffles?
It varies. For me, it's a variant. If the waffles is warm with a bit of butter on it, I can handle it. But if it is buttermilk pancakes, okay, I'll take that.
Buttermilk. Oh, we got 5 viewers. Who's watching? Show yourselves. No. Like I said, this is a private conversation on a public platform. You get the frick out of here. No, I'm
oh
kidding.
My
Welcome.
God, you're so funny.
I like being mean jokingly, just putting emphasis on the fact that that's joking, because I really love you all. And yeah, please don't go. I'm lonely. So let's get to our first part of this topic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually going to pin this on the... Oh, I can't pin it on the Discord. That's bizarre. Oh, well, it's on the Discord thing on the general. I have a list of things for us to talk about. So the first thing is... Oh, actually, we were going to start with what our disabilities and neurodivergences are. The first thing that I said was, like, we were introducing ourselves and just saying something about us, but now we're going to talk about disabilities and stuff. So, who wants to start? Or should I define neurodivergence first?
Yeah, you probably should.
Definitely should.
All right. So the reason I threw that word in there is so neurodiversity, I need to define that first. It's basically the diversity of human minds, the infinite variation in neurocognitive functioning within our species. And I'm actually reading this off of an excellent page that Danny sent me. Thanks for that. It was actually just in time. Neurodiversity is a biological fact. It's not a perspective, approach, a belief, or anything. But if you're talking about the belief part of this, it is called the neurodiversity paradigm. And the movement for neurodiversity is called the neurodiversity movement. Neurodivergence basically means that I do want to go by the actual definition in here. So neurodivergent, sometimes abbreviated as ND, means having a brain that functions in ways that diverge significantly from the dominant societal standards of quote-unquote normal. So for example, being autistic is neurodivergent. Having ADHD is neurodivergent. Dyslexia, I think, is also one of them. Not sure what the official list is. I just know that autism and ADHD is definitely on there. So that's what neurodivergence is. And so we were describing our disabilities because some aspects of our neurodivergence can be disabling, but there is a distinct difference between neurodivergence and something that's like, I guess, strictly only a disability. No, I don't know. They cross over. It depends. It really depends. But I just decided to throw both words in there. So, So who is gonna go first? Well, no pressure.
Pick one.
Pick one. All right. Mira, you go first.
Okay. I am autistic with ADD, ADHD, cyclothymia, and a very I have a hard time with catching social cues by facial recognition. So if your tone is one way but your face is another, I can't connect them.
Oh,
And
okay.
don't use sarcasm with me. I will not catch it for the life of me unless I know you. So.
Yep. Or if we like,
And a lot-
unless we make it really, really obvious.
Which is funny because one of my managers said nothing but sarcasm. So for her, half the time I have to ask, and she gets irritated by it.
Oh, geez.
To where my other one, it's very obvious when she's being sarcastic because she'll roll her eyes or you can catch that slight hint in her voice and it just makes me go, oh,
Yeah.
You're being funny. Let's carry this on.
Yeah, it's kind of like whenever I try to be sarcastic with people, I always anticipate, like, are they going to be autistic? Because if they are, it should be super obvious. It'd be like,
Look at this.
like, I don't know. I can't think of it. I can't think of an example. Anyway, how about you,
heard of a goat?
Oh wait, Mira, you I don't know if you left something out. I'll type it.
About what?
I just typed a message to you.
Oh.
Did you want to mention this one or no?
Let me pull it up. Hang on.
Because I think it counts.
Did you put it in the Discord?
I put it in the Discord.
Okay. Yes, actually, I can mention that one. I also have a PTSD from a 2-year relationship that went south a year into it.
Yeah. So it cut you off a little bit. So she said she has PTSD. There's another one. So, so I'll go next. So I'm autistic. I also have PTSD. Fun stuff, very fun stuff. Complex PTSD. OCD, ADHD, and I am multiple. So meaning I have headmates or alters or whatever you want to call them. So that's fun. Also, I think I have a couple physical ones, or a couple physical disabilities that they're like pretty mild, like mild asthma, mitral valve prolapse, like a heart condition. Doesn't really do much to me though. It's just kind of there, and just makes it a little harder to exercise. But Jaden, your turn. I feel like we're in like Alcoholics Anonymous or something, but like disability. Be like, hi, my name is Steve. I'm autistic.
Alcoholics.
You might know me as you might know me as the Steve from Minecraft.
Hello, Steve.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Jaden.
Okay, so I'm as I said earlier, I'm autistic. I also have ADD, and I am also multiple. I have suffered from PTSD in the past. It's something I continually work on. I am not independent by any stretch. I have my own place. However, along with that comes with all manner of dependencies that unfortunately I can't get away from. And it's tough to deal with that sometimes, along with everything else going on. But I manage somehow.
Yeah. And I think like you told me recently, sorry, I missed a little bit of what you said, so I don't know if you mentioned this. You mentioned like some kind of a physical thing that you have as well. It's up to you whether or not you want to disclose, but I don't remember what it was called.
I'm drawing a blank.
It's that thing that runs in your family. I don't know.
Oh,
It makes
yeah.
you tired all the time. Like, it kind of sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a blood disorder that runs in my family. And it does all kinds of different things. One of the things that it can do is make you excessively tired. But yeah.
No, that tends
Yeah.
to be fairly common when medical. Yes, I do. I'll explain this now. I have a family member who was in the medical field for a long time while I was growing up, my mother. So a lot of medical terms are fairly common to me for me to hear and utilize. So for anybody who hears me use big words that you do not understand, I do apologize in advance.
Also, I just remember what it was called too, because I forgot the name for a little while. It's called alpha thalassemia.
I just remember when you told me about it, I had never heard of it, and it's apparently rare or something.
Yeah, it's pretty rare.
Yep. Man, that sucks.
Yeah, it does.
But yeah. All right. What was our next little prompt thing we had here? Oh, our strengths and weaknesses. Because before we get into the nitty gritty, like how our disabilities affect us and how society affects us, we don't want to paint like an all negative picture. Like we're these tragic beings who are suffering all the time. No, we're human beings like anyone else. We got our own strengths and weaknesses. It's like just a couple extra disadvantages. That's all. So, Mira, do you want to start with telling me what some of your strengths and weaknesses are? If you could name, like, let's say this is going to be hard to narrow it down. Like 3 to 5 top strengths and 3 to 5 top weaknesses. And I don't even know. Should we categorize weaknesses as like part of the disability portion, or like maybe or personality weakness? Like, well, sometimes I'm a shithead. I didn't really think about that.
I cannot guarantee anything. I cannot guarantee. Okay.
I'm personally probably going to categorize. I'm probably going to leave the weaknesses part to when we're talking about how our disabilities affect us. So maybe we should just start with strengths. Just like, 5 things that you're good at. Let's do that.
Okay. For me, it's I can swim a 100 or a 50-meter lap freestyle within a 2-minute span. And I used to be on a swimming team for 4 years, so I was pretty darn good until my last year, where they took away my freestyle so they could let other people in the Special Olympics have a chance, because I just kept on winning.
Oh no.
I'm quite good with math. My brain is a thesaurus, so I'm very good with different acronyms or abbreviations of certain words. And
you have a crazy memory.
Remembering everything since the age of 4 is not an awesome thing in my mind, because some things I wish I could forget.
True.
And I do not know which topics are inappropriate to speak about in public. I just know I don't say any topics until they step forward with the topic. Or I go, can I ask you something weird? So they understand that I know this might not be socially adequate, but I'm going to ask if it's okay for us to discuss it before I say something. And that's usually been my benefit.
Yeah, that's actually a really good approach.
Like, can I say something weird, or may I ask something personal? And people look at me and go, yeah, or say no, and then I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna walk away from that topic. And that's usually how I do it. I don't know what number I'm at with that right now. I
mean, I don't know either. It's up to you if you want to add one more or not. Did you mention crafting?
Yes, I knit, I crochet, and I hand stitch. I have a weird fear of sewing machines. but I can hand stitch and hand embroidery, and do hand sewing detail. I knit, I crochet. I very rarely do those because as of late with the PTSD reading and just listening to stuff to take my mind off of the fighting the emotions that come with being cyclothymia. So.
Yeah, not fun. Yay, you're so talented. Okay, Jaden, do you want to go next?
Sure.
Sorry.
So, like, top 5 things that you're good at.
Well, I think I'm good with writing, and I think I'm good with words and stuff like that in general.
If you need help with any, I know a couple other things you're good at.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Like, you're really good at logicking. You're really rational. And when I have conversations with you on certain topics, you're like the most rational person probably that I know.
Well, thank you. I try. Yeah, I don't really consider myself having a lot of strengths personally, because it's I think I've spent most of my life dealing with the more difficult aspects of the conditions that I have. So for me, it's really hard to find anything that I'm really good at. But writing is a definite. I'm really good at that.
Mm-hmm. And also, I would say another one is that, at least for me, like, you're very easy to talk to. For me, like, I don't know why that is. Like, I found myself like opening up to you a lot. So I guess easy to be around could be seen as a strength. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for me, top 5 strengths, I would say, I'm articulate. I'm always told I'm articulate. Oh gosh. I am extremely persistent. Like, I will pursue my goals until I fucking collapse. I don't always, like, because of my limitations, I don't always meet my goals, or it takes me a really long time to, but I think the fact that I get anything done is because I try so fucking hard. So like lately even, I've been having some really severe breakdowns and depression, but here I am on Twitch again, because I really wanted to do this. So that's number 2 for me. Let's see what else. Well, apparently I'm hilarious, but that I can attribute more to Aiden. I mean, I've got my own kind of humor, but Aiden he's like a comedian. He could do stand-up, at least until we switch, and then we'll be like feeling really awkward and have to leave the stage.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
So that's number 3. Number 4, I am, I guess you could say, a jack of all trades. I like to learn various different things. Like, usually they're really specific though. Like, I know how to make really good mochi, for instance. I also know how to, what else is there? Well, also the only problem with that is I tend to lose some of my skills sometimes. So I have to be constantly learning, relearning. But like, I can cook, I can draw, I can sing, I can, I don't know, a lot of other stuff, I think. Oh, I made a movie. Number 5, it's not a strength, but I'm pretty. I can't think of anything else, so it's an advantage.
Oh, that is so cute.
It's a privilege.
Oh, for the love of God.
I'm so privileged. My face is so privileged.
Yeah.
The rest of me isn't.
Your prettiness. I'm privileged with my hair being all the way to my ass.
Yeah. The really interesting thing about that is I think something some people don't realize, it's like, oh, they'll look at us and be like, me and you, Miranda, I think we're really pretty. And they'll look at us and be like, oh, life must be so easy for
Oh,
you
God,
because you're
hell
pretty. And it's
no.
like, well, I mean, it is an advantage, but at the same time, we have a fuck ton of disabilities that are a disadvantage that kind of like level it out. So it's like,
See,
so it's,
if someone looks at me and says I'm pretty and life must be easy for me, I'll flat out tell them, take your head out of your ass and realize something. This is not pretty. This is called I've been fighting most of my life. No, I was picked on growing up. I was picked on even in high school. For some ungodly reason, people were calling me the ugliest duckling until I damn near got out of high school. And I got picked on by so many people, it wasn't even goddamn funny. And it wasn't until I got out of school that I realized, hey, I am technically attractive.
The time is now 30 p.m.
And even to my mind, I don't see it. I could be looking in a mirror right now and I really don't see it. Because I don't. Because I see what I've been told most of my life, that I don't have anything going for me. I'm supposedly a person that could be the biggest sore thumb in a big public area, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't. People can tell
that
me
kind
I'm
of
pretty,
plays
and
into
I'm just
like,
nope.
That kind of plays in like to like the role of trauma and like how society affects us. Like, I feel like, I mean, if that sounded like it was like based on your looks specifically, but also I would imagine, did people make fun of you also because of being like socially awkward, like, you know, being autistic basically? Would you think that was part of it?
People made fun of me also for I trusted way too easily growing up, to where now I'm getting told that I don't trust. And I'm like, you know what? If you were me growing up and every time you tried to make a good friend in school and they turned around and backstabbed you the moment they had the chance, I can understand the not having trust in people, to where now people look at me and they go, what is CYA? And I'm like, cover your own ass. Yes, I cover my own ass a lot now, but that is because I have lost trust in a lot of people, and I genuinely care a lot for individuals. I am very protective of other people. But as soon as you burn that bridge on me even once, I'm scared that I don't know if I can trust you. And for a lot of people, they don't see it as a big deal. For me, it's major. And I can't, in my mind, I don't know how to respond to you.
That's like the nature of like PTSD though, isn't it? It's like, especially because, like, you know, people think that PTSD is, oh, well, you experienced something really specific and really like a really specific tragic event, like, okay, trigger warning, cover your ears if you don't want to hear any of this. Basically, like, they would assume that because you have PTSD, you must have experienced, you know, like rape or war or, you know, a really life-threatening thing. And I know that that's like, some of those are part of it, but like also you can get PTSD from being bullied and being ostracized and, you know, relationships going wrong, things like that. Like that's where a lot of mine comes from. Well, not so much to being bullied, but a lot of social stuff. I don't know if I should get into mine. I don't want to accidentally trigger myself.
Well, mine was definitely being bullied for so long and defending others from being bullied on back in school, as well as, because Lucia understands it, the first half of my 2-year relationship, we jumped several obstacles, he and I ended up moving in with him. And he was my first, and a lot of, and his grandmother passed away, and something triggered in his mind, and he started getting anger issues, and in the process, he started throwing things, and it were not intentionally, but thrown in my general direction. And between a lamp, a keyboard, a computer mouse, it scared me. He only hit me once, but that once was enough to make me flinch at anything coming towards my head in a negative way. And I'm actually kind of grateful for my mother, because she was pointing at something down the hall after I had already moved back in with my parents, and she started to cry, going, "What did he do to you?" And that's when I realized, this is not okay, I need to leave. Because I had moved back into my parents' house after he had shared a message with someone that made me just go, what am I doing living here? He's thinking about breaking it off with me. So.
Yeah, that's scary.
So there were a lot of warning signs within the 2 years of us dating that I was like, okay. So there's a lot of crazy shit.
So what's really interesting about this is, because the next prompt was, how does your disability affect you, and then how does society affect you? And sometimes there's a lot of crossover there where sometimes society can cause a disability, or other people, trauma. Trauma can disable you. Just to some degree. It just depends on how severe it is, and your specific brain. And that reminds me, I wanted to define for our viewers. There's something called the medical model of disability versus the social model of disability, which is I think it's kind of relevant. So the medical model basically says that people are disabled by their impairments or their differences. And under the medical model, these impairments or differences should be fixed or changed by medical or other treatments. And it looks at what's wrong with the person and not so much what the person needs. And the social model of disability basically suggests that disability is caused by the way society is organized rather than the person's impairment or difference. And it looks at different ways of removing barriers that restrict life choices for disabled people. And once the barriers are removed, disabled people can be more independent and equal in society with choice and control over their lives. So I was actually kind of reading off of this. So I feel like there's some legitimacy in either, where it's if you have PTSD, for instance, how do I put it? I mean, I would not say it's the fault of your disability that you're struggling. It's no, it's the fault of the trauma. Whatever happened to you, that's what caused it. That was a societal thing. But sometimes when you get treated, when you get your PTSD treated, sometimes you will need to take medications and to go to therapy and do things that you can do to improve it. But also, you might benefit from some societal changes. For instance, trying to think of a good example. For instance, if you have to go to the store to buy food, you have to go there in person to buy food, and that is your only option. But because of your PTSD, when you go, you're having panic attacks all over the place. You can't focus. You can't. You just can't do it. Too much anxiety. A reasonable societal change could be having a different option for getting food, ordering food, which is a possibility. I mean, not from a restaurant. I mean, from grocery store. From a restaurant is expensive.
Oh God.
Ordering, doing grocery pickups and stuff. I am so glad that Walmart has finally started accepting food stamps for grocery pickups because, that's my only money for groceries. And if I was forced to go into the store to get them, as I have been for the past few years, I come back home and I can't do anything. I'm dead. That took all my energy out of me. So it's a balance. It's we gotta do what we can to help to try to improve some aspects of our disabilities, but also push for reasonable accommodations in society. So So I'm going to turn it over to Jaden. So like, could you talk a little bit about how like your disabilities affect you and how society affects you? And, you know, like I said, I'm guessing there's probably some crossover in each of those.
Yeah, as far as like how society affects me, society has affected me pretty negatively for most of my life. I was mostly bullied growing up. I didn't really have a whole lot of option to get away from it. I had to deal with stuff at school, and then I had to deal with stuff at home. The result was that I spent most of my time alone in my room. Sometimes even that wouldn't help. But in my adult life, I've taken pretty much to seclusion because I'm a shut-in. I guess that's one thing I forgot to mention is I also have agoraphobia. So I don't really go out unless I absolutely have to. And while I'm pretty much okay with that aspect of my life, it does have a lot of drawbacks too, because the places that I have to live often have irregular things going on. So it kind of triggers my brain to say, okay, what's going on? What's this versus what's that? And the majority of my experience with most of society has been negative. So I don't tend to talk to people. I don't tend to try to make friends. Most of my attempts to do those things has ended up making things worse for me on the whole. Most of the time, if I were to try to join a group, for example, about discussion and stuff like that, almost every time I've always had some kind of negative experience with either a person of the group or with the group itself, and then that starts impacting my willingness to participate, and then that in turn, makes things worse, and then that further in turn basically gives me reasons not to do it. So I end up avoiding it a lot of the times. So,
would it be okay if I mention the one plural group that you wanted to join, the whole situation with that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I invited Jaden to there's a plural group online, and I basically invited Jaden to it, but the process for being accepted into the group was like a lot of groups online, you'll see read our rules first, answer these questions first kind of thing. This one was a little more in depth because they try to make sure that this group is very safe. So they have this little interview process kind of thing, just through text. So a bot will message you some questions and you just answer, just whatever you want, or whatever your answer is, just stuff oh, why are you joining this group? Or what's your opinion on people with alters or head mates and stuff? So that part was easy, but then the very last step, they asked you to answer a question that's buried in the rules. There's this, and the rules were this big wall of text that you had to read. I had to read it really thoroughly to find it. And luckily I was having a good day where my reading comprehension was okay, so I was able to do it. But Jaden got frustrated with it because it just was too much. He read it a bunch of times. He couldn't find it. It's that's honestly, I kind of thought about it, and it's isn't that kind of a bit of an ableist barrier there? Because you're asking someone to look through a huge wall of text to find this answer, which could be really challenging for people with reading comprehension issues, or even just dissociation, which a lot of the people in the group definitely have. So he gave up on it, but I I invited him again later, and he tried it again. I gave him the answer because it's like, it's freaking annoying. No one should have to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And
Some people,
it
you
was
can't help it.
stuck in there. Yeah, it was stuck in there pretty hard too, because I found it after the fact, or G pointed it out, and I was like, yeah, my brain would never have picked up on that.
Yeah.
It's like I'm working with an autistic brain. I can't help it.
I know. And something I've realized lately is like, for me, social media has greatly affected my reading comprehension. I really suck at reading more so than I used to. And I'm trying to actually get away from social media a little more now because of that. So it's like I don't have the patience to read through a lot of stuff to find an answer. And I'm realizing now I need to put on my I was going to say big boy pants, but I'm not a boy. I'm a thing. I need to put on my adult pants, put aside social media for a while, because I have to do a lot of research on autism stuff, because I'm going to be doing a presentation at some point in the future, and I have to do actual research now, instead of just reading, just random articles that people post on Facebook. And I need all the reading comprehension I can get. So,
seeing for me, I'm not even on Facebook hardly anymore, because so many people are posting the wrong things. It's like, I still have a Facebook, but the only reason I'm on there is to look at the adorable videos of animals, even on Instagram. And it's like, I just look at the cute little animals getting adopted on Dodo or whatnot. It's like, I'm sorry. I prefer the happy things, not the, oh my God, look at this, look at this, look at this. I'm like, no, get rid of this junk of drama out of my face. I'm tired of it.
Yeah,
I stupid things at work. Let's not have this in my personal life.
Yeah, I actually considered, and I might actually do this even though I am kind of off social media anyway, I still have my accounts. I'm thinking of just unfollowing literally everything except for cute animal stuff and wholesome things. Things that fill me with joy. So
constantly just fill your life with happiness is a lot better than watching people who intentionally seek out the horrible things. And it just makes you go, you must be really unhappy with your life if you're intentionally out sad things to be angry about. It just makes you go, I feel sorry for you.
That's actually a very human thing. It's pretty natural for most people to focus more on negative stuff. For some reason, negative stuff seems to have more impact on our lives and in our brains than a lot of positive stuff. And I think this is one reason why the concept of neurodiversity is so important, because I feel like people look at people with disabilities, and disabled people look at themselves this way sometimes too, say oh, my life is just all bad, it's horrible, I live with this every day, and then they forget the good things. It's well, I got to eat ice cream today and that was great, or I got to see a friend that I really love, or I happen to be dating someone I really like. We forget that stuff because we're so focused on negative crap. And then when you're on social media, it's negative crap times 1,000, and it's hijacking your brain to be more negative than you already are. So,
or a better one, making friends with your coworkers at work. That's a nice one.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we got a couple of messages from viewers. I'm going to call you Panda if that's okay. Says, taking personal notes helps me comprehend stuff. I'm struggling with comprehension. And thank you for saying good luck. I hope it goes okay. So, taking notes helps me too. I do it mostly because I just have a bad memory in general. I just forget everything. So if I go to the doctor, for instance, chances are I'll forget whatever the doctor tells me to do. If I have to, take meds or do physical therapy or something, I'll forget. So I write it down. But just the act of writing it down does help. So, but on top of that, I will have a note to read if I forget. Killer Monkey says, I'm on Facebook for the meme posts and my coworkers and few friends. See, that's a good use of Facebook. Yeah. I think it's just, for me, it's been really hard to filter out all the stuff I don't want to see anymore because I haven't bothered to go through all the people I'm following and unfollow people.
Oh, I filtered most of it already. It's just, I have so many people trying to add me, and of course, the people that are trying to add me, and I love you individuals, but you see a pretty blonde and you send her a request and then you start asking her age and personal stuff, I just want to go and block. Like, I'm sorry. You just found me on Facebook or Instagram. I want nothing to do with you.
Yeah, like that's it seems like you picked up on, which people are the douchebags. Douchebags trying to disguise themselves as a friendly person trying to make friends or whatever. Yeah. Killer Monkey says, I mean, it's okay to vent, but some of it seems excessive, like a call out for attention. Yeah, I agree. I honestly, when I look at that, I kind of think that's a human thing too, to be honest. Like, there are people who do, vent a lot and do feel better with attention. Sometimes the attention is addictive and unhealthy, but at the very basic level, I think most of us are seeking connection. So like, I don't even really like the phrase like attention seeking so much, because I really think it's just seeking connection. It's just it's often called attention seeking when it gets into the territory of being really unhealthy. And if there's people who like, if I can't stand their venting, if I don't want to tolerate it, I will just unfollow them on social media. The unfollow button's great. People can post whatever the crap they want on their page, but they can't really force their way into your newsfeed if you don't want them there. So that's definitely really helpful.
Well, I like it now on Facebook. They actually have it to where you can choose if they tag you on a post, you can actually choose if you want it on your timeline. I go, this is awesome, because you know how much stuff I've denied because of this? It's like, you've got to be kidding me. Do you guys not realize I do have a life? I'm not interested in being part of your tags that are stupid. Yes, I'm going to deny it. I'm like, I'm not going to accept the fact that you are being very harsh on a certain topic. If it is a cute animal or a certain hangout in public and get to know people, I can understand it. Like, beep, beep. Lucia, you remember this? Brandy. Yeah. She was such a sweetie. She posted a picture of us when we were in elementary school and tagged me in it. Of course, what made me laugh is I'm the one kid in the far right side of the photo with my face half out of the picture, and I'm like, yep, looks like me. I could not sit still for anything when I was a kid. They could not keep me sitting still for anything.
That's adorable.
And of course, I'm sitting there half out of the picture, and it was a class photo in elementary school. I'm like, that is funny, because that is such a perfect depiction of me.
Yeah, well, ADHD. So I don't think I went yet for the what was it? How disabilities affect me, how society affects me. Actually, I'm going to do a quick ad break because I am about to leave for going for a walk. I'll still be talking to you guys because I'm on the phone and it's still running on my computer, but I just need to basically get my butt out the door, and while I do that, please enjoy the advertisements.
Yep.
Not sure if we're back yet.
Well, Panda claimed that it was a quick ad break.
Oh, so it's probably, yeah. Oh, Jaden, you said political post was the reason why you left a week or so ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah. I mean, like, I keep trying to leave Facebook, but, like, it's like, I keep finding things to get all, like, angry about.
Yeah.
Okay.
The bad thing about social media, is that, like, you know, it's a useful tool, especially if you're, like, in my case, you know, I have to use it to promote my writing. But for pretty much everything else, you know, social media is a cesspool. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's
a shit pile.
Yeah, like, everywhere you look, it's always something else.
Yep.
Yeah, that doesn't.
Sometimes it's laughable though. Like, it's just entertaining how just absolutely ridiculous people can be.
Mm-hmm.
It's entertaining, but then it also shows you that there is a side of ugly out in the world that you're just like, okay, why am I even leaving the house? Is the
It's
first
like,
thing
I did
pops in
not
my mind.
consent to see this.
I did not consent to see this. I did not consent
Exactly.
to have this walk into my workplace and throw it in my face. Thank you. It's like, I did not consent to this. I consented to go to work and doing my job.
Killer Monkey says a lot of groups are places to feel safe with like-minded people.
That's true, but that's also hard to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my experience was like, that's pretty much the entire basis of what I've, you know, when I've tried to join a group, it's pretty much entirely on that basis. The problem is you get so many people in some of these groups that sooner or later, you know, there's going to be issues, and sometimes it's just unavoidable. Like,
in one group, I couldn't believe this, they started being judgmental against PTSD individuals because they thought it was not technically a real disability, and I just stopped doing it, and I'm like, okay, and this is why I have to read your rules to clarify if I want to be part of it. Or some people were going for
hey guys,
the autism awareness. People were posting that like crazy, and I was just like, okay. You do realize they originally started out to want to find a cure for it.
Beep.
Sorry.
Hi. I forgot you guys can't hear the little thing I set off. I don't know if it worked because I'm not actually on my computer, but it said topic change because I didn't go yet for this question.
Oh yeah, yep. Go ahead.
All right, so how my disability affects me, how society affects me. Also, if you hear noise, I apologize. I'm out walking now. This is good for my mental health to be out walking. Yeah. So if it's too noisy or anything, though, let me know. So for me, like I said, I'm autistic. The joys of being autistic, my senses don't really work like everyone else's. So like I have some like sensory sensitivities, like trying to think. Definitely lights is a big one. I can't focus or function when I have bright lights above my head, or if I'm seeing any like bare bulbs, like there has to be a lampshade. I can't even see the bulb underneath the lampshade out of the corner of my eye. I hate it because it's at some point it's like, at first it's like mildly annoying, but after so long, eventually I just cease to be able to function. Like I can't think anymore, can't do anything. So it's kind of like, it's like think of the lights as a vampire gradually draining my life energy. So that's always fun. Like touch also is another one. There's some clothes, a lot of clothes I can't wear, so I have to wear really loose clothing. I hate hats, but I'm wearing one right now because my hair is short enough that it doesn't bother me.
I was gonna say your head's buzzed.
Yeah, my head's buzzed now, so I'm kind of bald. So, oh yeah, and Danny, we are going to talk about SSI in a little bit. So, but we're getting there. So, another thing, like I'm really sensitive to temperature, so I have to keep changing like my air conditioner, like turn it on, turn it off all the time because I either feel too hot or too cold. It doesn't help that I have a really old-timey little knob thing for knob. It's like one of those little boxes for controlling the air conditioning and the heating, and it's really hard to get it precise, which bothers me because I like it precise. Let's see. I don't know if this is. Sorry if you hear any wind. I don't know if this is ADHD or autism or both, but I have a hard time with transitioning from being awake to sleeping. I procrastinate so bad with sleeping. My mind is going at a million miles an hour. I always want to do stuff at night. So I end up going to bed at like 6 in the morning. That's fun. I have trouble with information processing, reading comprehension. If I listen to someone talk for too long and if I don't get a word in, I start mentally crashing. I love my fellow autistics and ADHDers who talk a lot like me, but I do tell them, hey, like, make sure I get a word in because if I don't, my brain will crash. That's fun. So that's kind of like how it affects me, I guess, from the inside. But like, I didn't even mention my multiplicity at all. Oh, that's fun. I'll try to summarize as best I can. So if you're not familiar with the word multiplicity in this context, it means that how do I put it? I have multiple people living inside my head. Actually, they're separate, distinct, dissociative states with different personalities, needs, wants, goals, and there's a particular brand of that called dissociative identity disorder, which basically means that these alters or headmates were created from trauma. I'm not sure if I do have a lot of trauma, so I feel like mine was caused by trauma, but some of mine weren't. They just kind of appeared, so they're all there. How that affects me is I can't always stay consistent, because they're all like different individuals that want different things. So I have to make sure each and every one of them are content, and if one of them isn't, they will make it known. Like if one of them doesn't like someone I'm dating, they will. In the past, they've tried to sabotage my relationship. We've worked it out since then, and we're fine now. But it's kind of like managing a family or a group of people or something, trying to make them all compromise than sharing the same life. That's fun. I'm gonna read some of your.
I just thought that me and Aiden are dating for the heck of it because he's funny.
Yeah.
No offense, sorry.
Aiden has a crush on Mira, but he's asexual and she is not, so that's a tough thing. And also the fact that he's only a fraction of a system. You need something more than that. You need a whole person. I'm sorry.
Yeah, if a whole person was like Aiden, I think I would be fine with that, even if they were asexual.
If only we could like clone him and put him into a body for you. There we go. Yep. Yeah, but he likes Miranda and he's very protective of Miranda or Mira. Sorry.
It's okay. Trust me. I'm pretty sure I have a few people that are watching or listening that know me as Miranda and not Mira. I have one coworker watching, so
I'm going to read some messages here. Panda says, I hate it when multiple people are talking. I can't focus. Yes, I relate. I think I handle it a lot better than some other autistic friends of mine. For me, it's just mildly annoying. For others, it's like, holy crap, holy fuck, all of you, shut up. One at a time.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah. Danny says, you're sensitive to sound and light, and you can experience a shutdown easily. Oof. Yeah, I relate. That's not fun. I used to stay home most of the time because of that. Killer monkey, personal space. I can't stand being cornered. I start to freak out. Even cuddling feels like I'm being held down. Oh no.
Ooh. See, and I don't have that issue.
Oh, wow.
I like hugging.
Apparently, killer monkey is asexual, and their fiance is not. Yeah, I can imagine that definitely being a struggle.
That can be hard on people. I can understand that one.
Oh yeah, that's fun. So, how society? Sorry, I'm going for a long time about mine. Oh, how society kind of affects me. I think I've mentioned the grocery store example thing. Like that's very personal to me. Like, I hate shopping in the store. If I can shop online and pick it up, that is amazing. Having to do things in person sucks. Being forced to use the phone sucks. Like, it boggles my mind how by now, in 2020, in order to make doctor's appointments or to make, generally important phone calls, the only option is phone calls a lot of the time. They don't have like an email option, and if they do, they never answer. They don't consider other ways of communicating, and it's like rather than them making a fairly reasonable accommodation that would help so many people, like having a texting option or having an email option, rather than that, they require, like, for instance, like deaf people. The ability to use, there's like another thing that's like TTY on there, I think. Luckily I found like an Android app that allows me to call a phone, and it kind of works like a TTY where there's a relay person who will tell me what the other person's saying, and I just type what I want to say. But it's so cumbersome. It's so, like, I don't know, it's slow, it's annoying, it'd be so much easier if I could just text them. And
I'm the person that likes to actually chat.
Mm-hmm.
Which is funny how you and I have been friends.
I actually love talking. I love talking on the phone with friends and stuff. I just don't like having to make phone calls for, like doctor's appointments and stuff. Like, I can do it. It's just, it uses up so much energy. I have to set a whole day aside to make a bunch of phone calls. So, Danny says,
I'll take care of it.
Oh, that would be great. The problem is, and here's another barrier, a societal barrier, I would say. It's a positive thing in the sense that it protects people's privacy, but like, HIPAA laws or whatever, basically privacy laws in general make it so, people generally can't call on your behalf, your doctor, really, to make an appointment or relay messages to you or something. But that would be so helpful for me. I think you have to go through some like legal process where that person is like, forget what it's called. Power of attorney, power of like medical attorney or something. Like, I don't want to have to go through a painstaking legal process to just have a friend help me make a phone call.
Power of attorney is actually utilized quite often with the elderly if they have a ton of kids. My mom and Uncle Bobby were that one for my grandmother when she was around. My mom was more the power of attorney more than my Uncle Bobby half the time, but yes, that is how it primarily works.
Oh, I didn't even see Ninja Falcon appear here. Hi, welcome.
Hey, Ninja.
And yes, fuck phone calls.
What?
He said, "Oh fuck, phone calls."
Yes.
Danny says, "I have difficulties with personal management skills, and it can be a significant cause of stress and disappointment in my abilities, especially when I know I have the intellectual capacity to complete the activity to a high standard." Yes, that is so relatable. I believe that's called executive dysfunction, where like, is it related to like not being able to, or having trouble carrying out tasks? Because that's basically executive dysfunction. I need a break from talking. What's next?
Well, you were discussing about your house being out in public is your issue. I didn't really discuss.
Oh yeah. Did you? Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna let you go.
School was chaos for me, but yeah. Yeah, I have a strong sense of smell. So if I make a comment to what they smell like, and they say, "Oh no, it's just this," that means you put too much on, or it's too strong for me. Like if you don't even need to be next to me, and I can smell you on the other side of the room, you put too much on. And that irritates the hell out of me. They go, "Oh my god, look at these cinnamon pine cones." I'm like, no, get those things away from me. They're toxic.
Quick, chuck them across the United States.
They're my kryptonite. Get them away from me. Which is
oh my gosh.
so funny because I work in a place where there's a lot of smells, and it's primarily customers. Extremely tactile. I have a strong sense of hearing. I am very loud.
You have a strong sense of hearing for everything except your own voice.
Yes.
Well, I sometimes have to remind Mira, or have to tell Mira when she's being a little too loud.
Yes, that is an issue.
It's adorable. You can scream in my ear anytime.
My boss, I cannot believe this. If they can hear me in the back of the store and I'm having a conversation with a customer that has nothing to do with their transaction, I'll hear it over the headset going, "Okay, are you done with that customer, or do we need to walk up there?" And yes, I've gotten that from both of my two top managers, and it just makes me go, okay, this is bad. And then to add on top of it, the weather affects me. So if it is raining, I either feel mucky or I feel like I can't be in any form of clothing. Stinks when you work because you're wearing an apron and t-shirt and pants with socks and tennis shoes, and I just want to go get this all off. And then the moon
be free, naked, me.
And then the moon cycle affects me as well. So it's like, great. I'm fighting with not being able to sleep, to the moon becoming full, to being full, to it waning. The best times I fall asleep was when there's no moon at all.
Stupid moon.
Oh,
needs to mind its own business.
I'm constantly crying when it's raining now, and I'm like, what the heck is this?
Panda says he's the opposite. He can be hyposensitive sometimes. Sorry, I didn't want to accidentally assign the wrong gender there. I don't know what your gender is.
Fine.
They said that they're the opposite.
Oh, yeah. No, I get it, and I know I am loud. I don't even like the sound of my own voice when I hear it recorded. Half the time I have to drain out what I hear my own voice as. Because if I do hear my own voice, I automatically cringe because I'm like, I don't sound nice.
I think most people kind of cringe when they hear like recordings of themselves and stuff.
But I hear myself and I'm thinking, how do people think I'm attractive and I sound like this?
You're adorable, Mira. Shut up.
No. See, and I don't even like my own laugh because I either cackle like a witch or I laugh like a hyena. There's no. See, and I don't like anything about myself. That's a sad thing. I never have.
Aww. Well, you know what? We'll make up for it. Or we'll help you make up for it by us liking you. So we'll like you so hard. So let's move on to the discussion about SSI, because I think that's a pretty big one.
Yeah. God, that one's fun.
So I think we kind of covered trauma.
Yep.
And first I'm going to read Danny's comment. My rituals and routines often serve me to control my environment and thereby manage my anxiety. Problems with language and memory make the situation worse because I find it hard to take part in conversations and follow what's being said. Yeah, so that makes sense. That's relatable. I kind of have the same experience. When it comes to conversations, I notice I tend to like pick up on the general gist of what people are saying, but if people ask me to remember details, I'm not so great with that. So,
unlike me, who can remember everything since the age of 4.
Oof. Hugs. So, this last part, actually, like, we can kind of combine the last two to some degree. We'll talk about SSI, the fact that it's kind of difficult to get, difficult to keep, and also like society's views of people on SSI and like how that can affect our lives and our benefits even. So I'm going to let Jaden start on this one. I need a break from talking. So can you tell us a little bit like about like, because both me and Jaden are on SSI, how did you get it on SSI? Did you like have help with from your parents? Did you do it by yourself? Like how did that go down and how long did it take?
I don't recall how long it actually took to get it, but the process was handled through a proxy that I had used for years and years. So basically, I had them make the calls, and of course I had to talk with some people to get assessed and stuff like that. But for everything, it didn't require them to speak to me directly. I used a proxy for.
Oh, that's so nice. Was it some kind of a service thing that you had to pay for that was like specifically like for that?
No, it was just someone I knew that could handle it.
Oh, okay. So like a friend or a family member or something.
Yeah, it was someone who worked for the county. And whatnot,
that's
so
useful.
Yeah. But yeah, it's I lost my train of thought.
That's okay. So you said you had a proxy kind of help you out, and then I also asked like how long it took. You said you didn't remember, I guess.
Yeah, I don't recall how long it took. It was at least a year.
Okay, yeah, I wouldn't expect any less because typically it takes most people between like 1 to 3 years. So I know some people, it's taken them much more than that.
Yeah, I have a friend of mine that's been a friend of the family for years, and it took him 10 years to get on it.
That's freaking insane.
I still don't have it.
Yeah, Mira's trying, I think has been trying to get on SSI. I've been trying to do anything I can to help, but like, I didn't apply myself even whenever I applied. It's like I know the general process, but speaking of which, I just remembered that I did find that lawyer thing or attorney or something. I don't know if you've contacted them yet, but there are...
Oh, I haven't. Sorry. I've been so busy with work. I totally forgot about it. I apologize.
Yeah, it's okay. I thought you said you had a good memory. If you do need reminders for stuff, though, that's stuff that I weirdly do remember. So if you need me to remind you of stuff like that, I will gladly do that. But yeah, there are attorneys and stuff that can help with applying for SSI, and I think there are ones who will do it for free, like pro bono or something, but how do I put it? It's sort of like they'll help you apply, and if you don't get it, you don't have to pay anything. If you do get it, you can use, because most people get kind of a back pay from like if they had their disability for a long time, you can get back pay for quite a few years, which is like a lot of money. Yeah, and you can yeah, so but yeah, that's just a part of like applying for SSI. Is like you can get, however much SSI you would have gotten from the past few years, they just give it to you in one big chunk, and you can invest it or store it away or do whatever. But out of that money, like that's how you would pay the attorney if you got on SSI. which I think is pretty fair because in a lot of cases the back pay is quite a bit. So depends. So for me, my mom was the one who handled most of it, but she actually got help from a third party organization called Protected Tomorrows, I think. I think it was the same deal where we only pay them if we only pay them if we win kind of thing. I'm not sure though. But yeah, my parents are very frugal, so I can't imagine them not taking advantage of that. So that took us, I don't know how long actually, at least a year, maybe 3 years. We were denied the first time. That's really common. They'll deny you, once or twice to kind of deter you from applying. The way that they have it set up is they do make it difficult for you to get it because there's limited funds, and they're trying to keep people from taking advantage of the system if they don't have a disability and are trying to apply. It's on purpose. It is a very difficult process. So I find it ridiculous how some people think, oh, well, people on SSI, they're just leeching off the system. They're not really disabled. It's like, no, we've had to very thoroughly prove our disability to the government in order to get money from them. And they check up on you I think for me, it's every 6 years. They check up on me and I have to get reassessed and just to prove, hey, I'm still disabled, even though we know very much that autism is a lifelong thing. It doesn't really change. But I think they base it more not off of conditions, but off of whether or not you can work or how much you can work.
Function in society like a normal adult.
Yeah, basically if you are unable to work full time due to your disabilities, then you might qualify for disability. So
in my case, I think I would even because, I've been denied 4 times in my life, and the first 2 were because of my parents. The other 2 were by myself after I got out of high school because I became my own guardian. And of course, that happens when you hit the age of 18.
Yep.
For me, I was denied enough time, and I was diagnosed back around the age of 4 to 5 years old. Now, when I was diagnosed, it was just it was a bunch of letters and numbers. I did not officially get diagnosed till spring, summer of last year, roughly when I started seeing my now only therapist, which was originally my second therapist at that time. And
sorry, I'm excited. I just got excited because I used to see the same therapist and they're awesome.
Yes.
So
Lushia actually gave me to this therapist, and
yeah, I'm just I offered you up to my therapist. I'm like, please take this, Mira.
Yeah, it's no. Here's someone I know that can help, and she happens to be my only therapist now. And I had got diagnosed with autism through her, as well as my PTSD and my cyclothymia through her. And it is now on my medical file with my doctor. And people always go, why don't you take antidepressants? And I'm like, I have taken antidepressants. I also have an implant in my arm, which is a birth control. The issue is antidepressants make me have more suicidal thoughts, which is not ideal.
Yeah, I hate how some medications, they're like, here's a medication that will help prevent depression and suicidal thoughts.
But it's gonna make
a possible side effect is more depression and suicidal thoughts.
And in my case, that was very true. And then people ask me, oh, do you take Adderall? No. I take vitamin B12 supplements, and I take vitamin D3 supplements. And I get those off the shelf. I don't, believe it or not, my doctor told me I can go buy them or I can have them pharmacy counter. And I prefer to go buy them because I know my health insurance will cover it, but at the same time, I'm going, you know what? It's covering my therapy appointments and my doctor's visits. That's okay.
Yeah.
But at the same
It'd probably
time,
make it a lot cheaper though if your insurance covered it. Because like for me, usually most of my prescriptions are only like $1.30 versus like if I had to spend, $15 on some allergy meds instead, I'd pay
they're
$1.
not small capsules though, Lucia. That's the issue.
Yeah. You kind of want.
They give me these horse pills, and I'm like, okay, I have a severe gag reflex. No, can we not?
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Until high school for me to start swallowing a pill on my own. Trust me, I have a gag reflex. I'm not doing this.
Wait, what?
I still can't swallow regular pills. I have to crush all mine.
Oh geez, that's not fun. Well, that's good for me to know. So if I ever wanted to like drug you or something, Jaden, I'll have to crush it up for you.
Just mix it into the soup, a little more seasoning than usual.
No, I'm gonna have him snort it. See, we can just bypass the gag reflex altogether.
You're so bad.
Okay, Panda says she's going. Says it's very late for me since I'm in Europe, but the stream was fun to watch. Thank you for joining. If you like Zelda, feel free to follow because I'm gonna play Zelda tomorrow. Have a good night.
Bye.
Woohoo! I see a bunny. This is the second time a bunny has crossed right in front of me. Is this like Mira? Tell me, is this like a good luck thing or will I be cursed? I don't know.
A white bunny? That is
It's just a regular bunny. It's a brown bunny.
That's common then. You're fine. It's not bad.
Okay, so it's just sort of like
got a lot of bunnies.
You're average, and I'm just reminding you twice in the same walk that you're average. Thank you for that, bunny.
Yes. Sorry. Please, you're talking to someone that has 3 bunnies in their backyard, and then I got wild bunnies running around becoming food to my cat and my dog.
Oh, geez, bunny snacks.
Yes.
So we were talking about SSI, and let's talk about like how much you actually get with SSI and whether it's really worth it and whether it's enough to live on. And I think I'm going to pass this one over to Jaden because as far as I know, like that's your only income, right?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about if you're comfortable disclosing, an approximate like how much you get and how much it pays for and things like that.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that's actually one of the things that I've set aside on my word processor here. That was one of the things I wanted to discuss was that in my case how much I get versus how much it actually pays for, because that also ties into our other topic, which we've tied together with this one, which is how people treat us or how their attitudes affects stuff like this. And so anyways, I guess I'll just go ahead and start in on that. So what I get on a monthly basis is around 780, right around, which some people probably think, oh well, that's pretty decent.
Yeah, but that's like all you get. That's your only income.
Yeah, that's like pretty much it. And that doesn't count what I get for food stamps. But
yeah, I mean that's actually a good thing that you mentioned that. If you are on SSI and you're really struggling to pay for stuff and you're not on food stamps, get on food stamps because it does not affect SSI. It can give you, depends on your state, depends on how they calculate all that stuff. Generally, you can get maybe like anywhere between like $50 and $200 extra for food.
Yeah, I think the cap where I'm at is right around 190 for food stamps, and that's the top end that anybody can get. But yeah, and even with that, it can be kind of a pain in the butt for a lot of different stuff. But anyways,
like
as far
buying
as
pre-made meals on that amount can be kind of difficult, which is annoying because a lot of people with disabilities need pre-made meals.
Yeah. So, anyways, I'll be discussing that here in a sec.
I'm sorry.
As well. Oh no, you're good.
Buy food from you can't buy hot food, and you can't buy food from restaurants, which is kind of dumb because, like, that would save my life if I could, order food pre-made and yeah. So poopy. Sorry, go on.
So yeah, that's one of the things I'll probably bring up here in a minute as well. But for the first part, I want to focus on the 780 that I get, because a lot of people that have never actually had to live on SSI, for some reason, a lot of people think that we're kind of like, quote, living it up or whatever like that. And I actually did some math here, and this applies to my state only, which I'm not going to state what my state is for personal security reasons, but the numbers are as follows. So I get $780 a month. The federal minimum wage for my state is $7.25 an hour. Here's the problem. In order to rent a one-bedroom apartment, the minimum you would have to be making is $11.91 an hour. And if you wanted to get a two-bedroom apartment, that minimum wage needs to be at least $15.25 an hour. That's how much one person would have to be making in order to rent those things. And those are numbers that are based on the National Low-Income Housing Coalition, where the cost of rent and utilities doesn't exceed 30% of the household income. So, knowing that information, I took a calculation from, which is what used to be pretty common. It's not so much common these days.
Sorry, I think you got cut off. You took it from what?
Oh, I did some new calculations using a 40-hour work week model. So like, if I were getting this 780 from working instead of being on SSI, this is how this would turn out. From 40 hours a week at $780 a month, that means that I would actually only be making $4.87 an hour.
That's below minimum wage. Very much below.
It's very much below minimum wage. On top of that, the federal minimum wage for my state is $4 below the minimum threshold for a one-bedroom apartment. So essentially, I only have maybe a third of what is calculated that one would need for a one-bedroom apartment. Right now, I actually live in a studio apartment, which is, for those who don't know, that is an apartment that is literally just a single room and a bathroom. That's it. And you get like maybe a kitchenette, so like you'll get counters and refrigerators, stuff like that, but there is no it's just essentially just a living room, and everything's just in that one room. There's no side,
including your bed and everything.
Yeah, including bed and everything.
And, imagine trying to fit all your bed, desk,
it's not easy.
drawers, all that stuff.
If you can cook a meal from your bed, that is a sad house.
Well, I mean, there's
no
enough space
that is what a
get up and walk.
Said. That was what a comedian said. He could lie down on his bed and cook on his stove at the same time.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense.
He said that was a pathetic excuse for a house, and that is the first thing that popped in my head was from a comedian. I apologize now.
I mean, I guess that you could see that as a perk. It's like, hey, it's only 3 feet to my bed. I can go lay down and relax while my food's cooking.
No, he was literally frying eggs while he was sitting on his bed. His stove was right next to his bed. He's sitting there, and he's frying eggs on the stove at the same time. He said that is a pathetic excuse for a house. And he thought, because his friend told him this, get a mirror that covers that one wall of the apartment and it makes it look bigger. Then he goes, now I just look like there's two sad people in this apartment. Next excuse, and I go, oh God. I am so sorry if I just made it sound bad, but that tells you how many comedians I listen to. Different ones give different responses on that.
Yeah, having a stove right in front of your bed sounds simultaneously uncomfortable and also a fire hazard.
That's what I was gonna say. That would definitely be a fire hazard if that were the
Sorry.
Whew, I'm gonna head inside now. I'm sweating.
So,
you were on a walk.
Self-care while I'm live streaming. Yay. So.
And I'm sitting in my cold basement.
Lucky. All right. So Jaden, you're talking about you're renting a studio apartment. So
yeah.
How much of your SSI does that use up?
The vast majority of it.
So then how much would you say you have left over just to spend on necessities and stuff?
What I usually have left over to spend on necessities is usually right around or less than $100.
Oof, yeah. See, I'm really lucky because I live with my parents and I pay my parents rent because they understand I'm on SSI. I don't have to pay that much, so I have $300 a month to spend on necessities, and sometimes I use it to pay bills, like if I have medical bills and stuff. And I try to store a little bit away in a savings account, which I'll elaborate on later, because usually Social Security doesn't allow you to save money. I think Jaden knows.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah, I think up here is. I think up here the threshold for saving by money is $800. You're allowed to have $800 in the account, but then anything beyond that, that's it.
I outsmart the system. My money is saved in my mom's savings account. I'm not even tied to it. She has access to my checking, and when she sees that I had a big paycheck come in, she tells me she takes some of it out and puts in the savings, and that's okay with me. And primarily what is in her savings account, most of it, and she's told me this a few times, is primarily my own money. So most of what's in her savings is mine. And she is better off with controlling it than I do, because every time I have a savings account with my name on it, that savings account goes out the goddamn window faster than you say shuttle truck.
Yep, pretty much. So, over here, I think the threshold, I don't even know if it really varies based on the state. I thought it was 2,000. You can have up to 2,000. I know you can't make more than 800 or so. I mean, technically, I think you can make up to, if you're working, I don't know if this includes the SSI that you get. I think you can make up to either somewhere around 700, 800 to 1,100 or something. But even then, if you reach that that high, you probably no longer qualify for SSI.
Yeah, that's one of the bad things about it too. Is you reach a certain threshold, they can yank your funding right out the window, and it's just gone. So something else I wanted to mention too was up here, and I don't know if this is state per state or whatever, but something as a side note that I wanted to mention was that because of how little people get on SSI, and this varies between individuals. I mean, it's not even. Some people get less than what I get. Some people might get more if they have kids. I don't know. I'm not really sure how that part of it works. But anyways, people that are living on SSI, they have to, because the housing is so expensive, they have to essentially apply for low-income housing, which is limited by itself. Where I'm at, the low-income housing stuff has a years-long waiting list. Last time I would try to get on it, I waited 5 years just to get on the waiting list. And then after that, it was a whole crap show that I'm not going to get into with that. But the problem with low-income housing is the fact that, landlords have to apply to qualify for their buildings to become low-income housing. And they have to pass inspections throughout the lifespan of the program that they're part of, in order to keep that that qualification. But the problem is the landlords have to opt into this thing. It's not something that, local government says, okay, there has to be, this has to be this or that has to be that. They have to opt into these things. And oftentimes the low-income housing, because there's such a high demand for it, it's just really, really hard to get into. So, and that only contributes to the bigger problem, I think.
I've seen pretty bad examples of low-income housing, actually. Someone claimed that one place was called low-income housing, and I checked it out. It definitely was not in low-income housing. It was called should have been demolished house. Because there was no way it was not fit for any human civilization living in it at all. There was no floor in the bathroom. The toilet wouldn't even hold anything. It would constantly clog. You had to go up such a narrow staircase to even get to the second level. And then to top it all off, the only door that opened was the one in the backyard, and it wasn't even a solid door. And I'm like, okay, this is called low-income housing. You're full of yourself. There is no way. Just no way. No way in hell. And it just kept on making me go, that isn't.
No, yeah, and so, because in a lot of cases, this is often like, low-income housing is often the only choice that a lot of disabled folks have if they don't have a lot of money. There's not very much to choose from, and a lot of them really are dilapidated and not working right. And I think, Jaden, you said your electricity can't handle too much stuff at the same time. It's like there's a lot of limitations.
And the worst part about it is where I'm at right now, this isn't even low-income housing.
Sorry, I'm eating a cookie.
That's all good. Yeah, where I'm at right now, it's not low-income housing. I'm going to have to reapply due to some issues with the last sequence of events. But yeah, up here at least, I'm told anyway, that there is inspection process that they all have to go through, and this is a mandatory thing, I guess. So there's some good news on that regard. Now, as to what kind of neighborhood they're in, I have no idea. But yeah, that's not good. I won't get into that whole thing, but yeah, it's just.
Hang on, I'm going to do a 30-second ad break while I finish this cookie, and then I'll talk a little bit more about the limitations of having SSI and why it's so difficult to keep. So be right back in 30 seconds.
Yep, I'll be right back too.
Hello, you guys still there? Yum, 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 yum.
Yep, I'm good.
Hello. Yeah, we should probably wrap up the conversation over the next 15 minutes or so. But yeah. So I think we're back, obviously, because it's been more than 30 seconds, and I was like setting off sound alerts just for fun. I am sorry. Like when I get back from a walk, I'm like, woo. So, I'm trying to think where we left off. Talk about SSI and limitations around that. So, here's one reason why it is so difficult to keep SSI. It was designed to, oh, hang on. I need to get, oh no, I went out of my Twitch app for a second. Here we go. Now I'm choking on the cookie crumbs I already ate. Hang on a second. So one reason why SSI is so hard to keep is the fact that it's kind of designed to be difficult to keep, kind of just to keep people from wanting to be on SSI or from trying to fight it if you get kicked off. So they have these, so first of all, you don't have enough to live on if you only live off of SSI, which a lot of disabled people do, like if they can't work. On top of that, if you were to work, if you were to, even if you just got a part-time job, whatever you make, usually they do a calculation. They don't take out, I think about like somewhere between 1/4 and 1/2 of whatever income you made, they will take that out of your SSI. The problem with this is that because this is run by the government, they're really slow and delayed with registering all of this stuff. So if you work, let's say in January, and you make, I don't know, $400 that month, and you get $700 in SSI. So they'll take out, you know, $200 because of that, but they won't take it out until like 3 months later or something. So then if you all of a sudden, if you don't work, like if you stop, let's say you worked in January, but you haven't worked since then. And it's like, by then it's possible that you could have spent that money that you made on medical bills or some other thing that you really needed to, that was like a necessity. And so by the time the other month rolls around and they take that chunk out, suddenly you don't have enough. I mean, you already don't have enough to live on, but you have even less to live on. So it's the way they have it set up is so obnoxious. I feel like they're just trying to annoy people off of SSI. And it's not even just annoying. This is like life-changing for some people. Like, you know, if you don't have that extra money, like, you know, you're done if you can't pay your rent. On top of that, in addition to issues like that, with them being so slow, there have been times when, like, oh, wait, no, let me go backwards a little bit. On top of that, you have to report your income every month. Unless you're not working at all, then you usually don't have to bother. But if you work, it's actually a lot easier if you work a regular job, like, you know, working for like retail, or if you're working for someone, if you are employed by someone else, typically you pick up the phone and you report your income. You say, this is how much money I made. And then, you know, that's all you really have to do. If you're self-employed, that's a whole nother story. And I actually would like to see some like statistics on like how many disabled people are self-employed versus, you know, working for someone else. That'd be interesting. I feel like as someone with disabilities, for me, it's almost easier for me to be self-employed. Plus a lot of the things that I can do that technically are working for someone else count as self-employment. Like if I work for Uber, that counts as self-employment. If I work for Twitch, that counts as self-employment. If you are self-employed, to report your income, you have to print out your pay stubs and put them in an envelope and mail them to the Social Security office. For some reason, they just don't have anything in their system for reporting over the phone or online. And it's so annoying because that means they would assume that you own a printer and that you have, the money to buy stamps and to mail it over, making you pay for it most of the time, unless your Social Security office is nice enough to give you prepaid envelopes. So if you're ever self-employed, ask them for prepaid envelopes, because that is if you can get their attention, because a lot of times they're hard to get a hold of. I managed to get a big stack of prepaid envelopes from them, which is helpful. Yeah, another thing, the Social Security Administration is notoriously difficult to get a hold of. So if you need to ask them any questions or anything, if you are doing it over the phone, you could be on hold for hours and then they just hang up on you. So for me, it's not worth it to use the phone. So I have to go there in person to talk to them. Do you know how much of a problem that is for a lot of disabled folks? I mean, not just me. For me, it's like, okay, I might lose a day of energy. Like, that's all I do that day.
For some people, worse.
So yeah, getting a hold of SSI is difficult, or SSA. Another thing is they can punish you for mistakes that they made. I got a letter from the SSA saying that there were some overpayments from like 2013 or something, because I've been on SSI for a long time. Sometimes they can overpay you if they did not register how much money that you made for that month. I don't know if it's because I didn't report or if it's because they made a screw up, but the overpayment was like $1,000 or something over the course of all those years. And so they're like, so we're just going to gradually take a little bit of money out of your SSI until we are paid back the $1,000. And I'm like, what is $1,000 to the government? Nothing. What is $1,000 to me? Everything. Like, why you gotta be such a jerk? Like, you made the mistake and you're punishing me for this. Like, this is one of the things that they do to, I think, make you, like, I think part of this is actually them just being slow and some honest mistakes. So I think part of this is like, the system is just set up to make you just really not want to be on SSI.
They can make a mistake and punish you. See, now that's total crap. If they make a mistake, they just pop up to the mistake. It's not like, oh, guess what? I made a mistake on my child. I'm going to punish the child. No, you punish yourself. Same goddamn concept. How in God's name make a screw up and then you consistently punish the child? It's like telling the child, oh, I'm a bad parent. Guess what? I'm going to beat you until you have a PTSD response to it, and then I'm going to act like, oh, whatever. No, that is not how it works.
Sadly, this actually happens a lot.
No, not how it should happen.
So the SSA basically needs to take one long, hard look at itself and say, punish me, daddy.
And you know what? You would do great with that, Lushia. Why don't we give you
I do not consent. I do not consent to kinkily punishing the SSA.
No, I
no, thank you.
Kinkily. I mean legitimately beating the
kinkily is the word. So
no,
beautiful.
what I mean is I can see, I would, if they gave me an opportunity to do it, I would do it without mercy, because that is so ridiculous. Because I got rejected 4 times. To hear it's happening to other people who are on it makes me just want to go, hey, can I come in there and smack every single last one of you? If you guys have no brain in your skull and you're doing, I have an issue.
Oh yes.
I am technically socially okay for the public, and you're messing up with money I could have gotten. Yeah, I have an issue.
Yep. I will say though, if you are like struggling to work even like part-time, like Mira, I know you have a hard time because your workplaces are often just assholes. Like
filled with
even
assholes that are coworkers, or just even, I'll admit this one, corporate is a pain in the ass, or even just customer.
They were trying to like fire you for being too nice or something.
They were trying to fire me because I was so okay. Corporate office came in and told me I could lose my job if I do not stop being a good worker. Flat out. I was giving customers great deals with coupons on transactions because they have a certain amount of money that they should be coming in from their sales, and they were below that. They paid me as the person that needed to be told, hey, we need to fix it. No, you guys are putting those coupons down there. I apologize if I'm teaching the customers how to utilize them.
Mm-hmm.
It is not my fault that the customers have them on their phone, and I'm just allowing them to know which ones work together best and which ones cancel each other out. Not my fault. You're putting
big corporate
public.
gets mad because we lost $3 whole. We don't have a lot of money because we're poor. No.
You are a big corporate company making money off people wanting to craft. Okay, I understand. We were under the margin for the month. But you're giving me crap for being under the margin by $20. I'm sorry. And I'm getting pinned on for this? And then my job is asking me, why are you leaving us? And I'm like, I'm doing a CYA, covering my own butt. Because you guys had a corporate manager come in and threaten me losing my job because I'm too good at what I'm doing. Yeah, no.
If you think about it, that's almost like a big middle finger to them. It's like, oh, like you were, threatening me, and because you were afraid of losing money. Well, you just lost an employee. You're losing money.
Not only that, they are losing, and I hate my managers telling me that I am the fastest cashier they have. They do not let me be anywhere else on the floor but that register. I can scan people's orders, answer the phone, and put in a curbside order that got picked up into the computer at once, and still be able to function at the end of my shift, not including the fact that I am overly tired. And that is in a 5-hour shift alone.
So
and
I wanted the...
And I love what corporate... I hate corporate for this. They called me a part-timer. Okay. I make under 20 hours in a week. You call me a part-timer, and you guys don't bother paying me $10 an hour. I have an issue with that.
Yep, they're bullshit. So, like, what I was gonna say is, if, like, you legitimately have a hard time, like, working part-time, like me, for instance, at least in my case, even though SSI is completely aggravating a lot of times, I would rather have it than not have it, because the amount that I can work, I can probably make, depends on what job I have. When I was doing Uber, I was doing kind of okay. I was making maybe $400 a month from that, but that was on a good month. Like, most of the time it was around $100 to $200. If I'm making, only $150 a month or something from just a really small little job, usually it's not so much a big deal. Like, Social Security will take out just a really tiny amount from that. As long as I don't rock the boat, as long as I don't all of a sudden make, $600 one month and then go back to like 100, as long as I don't do that, usually I'm fine. But I would much rather have it than not have it, because otherwise I couldn't pay for anything. I wouldn't. support me. So yeah, ultimately it's whether or not you get on SSI, it's ultimately trying to weigh the pros and cons and figuring out whether you can, first of all, whether you can deal with the process of applying, and whether you can get help, whether you can, report each month if you're okay with, if you're working, if you're good with reporting every month and all that. And, just basically if there's more positives than negatives, and you legitimately have a disability and you do qualify, then go for it. If it's something that, if you hear all these negatives and you don't want to deal with any of those, then maybe it's not for you. But yeah, so I got a comment from Revolt. Said, wow, I have a question. What's wrong with being nice? Being nice is a good way to show a good first impression. I agree, Revolt. It's kind of silly how basically retail places are like, service with a smile, be friendly, be great customer service, and like Miranda's like the manifestation of that, and yet they were like punishing her for being too good at it.
Not only that, they since tomorrow, literally starting Monday night, I am doing 2 overnights for my last week with their job. They were, in a way, hiding me in the corporate office and stock shelf. I have 2 7-hour shifts in a row stocking shelves so corporate would get off my butt about me helping customers.
Oh,
now, the stupid thing is they were planning to do only 1 night overnight before I put in my 2 notice. Obviously they changed their mind once they got the
it's like, oh no, please stay, we need you. Oh yeah, we were gonna talk about the
I could always have a home there and come back when. And my other one went, it's a little weird that you're covering your own butt for a little thing like that. I'm sorry.
Nope.
I had a warehouse job that warned me once, and then the next week they laid me off, and I didn't have another job to go to. So, trust me.
So, learning from past experience. Jaden says, yeah, corporate neckties don't care. They just want money. Revolt was asking about the Americans with Disabilities Act, which we were actually going to touch on really briefly. So the American with Disabilities Act, or ADA, is basically something that disabled people had to fight for. It's something in the law that basically allows that helps people with disabilities get reasonable accommodations that they need in multiple circumstances. So I think according to the ADA, that's why we have disability accommodations in schools and stuff. For instance, if you need extra time taking a test, or for me, I got to be in a room that was a little bit dimmer because I couldn't handle the lights. I was allowed to type on my laptop and type my notes instead of write them because I struggle with handwriting. That's all because of the ADA. And it also applies to work as well. So if you need a specific accommodation at work that is reasonable, there's usually emphasis on reasonable, because they can't change their entire everything for someone. But something that might be reasonable is if I'm working in an office and I can barely look at the monitors because the monitors are really bright. A reasonable accommodation might be them either providing me with or letting me use some kind of there's these screen cover things you can use to kind of filter out some light, or there's actually some programs you can download as well to change the light brightness and color. I think also thanks to the ADA, we now have more we have, and this doesn't apply across the board, unfortunately, but it's the reason why we have more wider doorways. So wheelchairs can get through. It's why we have accessible bathrooms. It's why we have wheelchair ramps in a lot of places, or at least a lot more than there would have been. And those little dips in the sidewalk where it kind of goes flat. So like, if you see people at the store and they're pushing their shopping cart and they go down over that little dip, where people pushing strollers and stuff, those were originally put there because people with wheelchairs needed them to get up on the sidewalk. So, but they're benefiting everyone. So that's definitely a positive. Jaden, do you know a lot about the ADA and like what other kind of stuff it covers?
I don't know what all it covers, but when you were mentioning, the stuff that you that they provided as far as schools are concerned, I actually had most of what you listed as some of the stuff that I could take advantage of as well. So, yeah, it's definitely helpful. And like the goal is to kind of like to put everyone on equal footing. Because it's not really fair if, like, let's say everyone's taking the same test, but one person is breaking down the whole time, having severe sensory overload because of the lights. Like, that's not a fair situation. Right.
But yeah. So, Mira, did you have any kinds of school or work-related accommodations?
At school, I had a lot. I was actually given copies of the notes that were taken in class. I always had in the classroom. I was given extra time on a test. I was actually in a separate from every classroom to take the test, and the test was read out because my reading's not the best. So Audible's been a saving grace for me for reading. And then there's anime comics, another form of my reading. But I had extended time on tests for me. I was allowed to have like one extra day on homework if I couldn't get it in right. I always had a copy of notes at class. I had at least 1 or 2 aides, varying on what the class was, unless it was a special ed class, and then quote unquote special ed class. And then everybody in the classroom had 1 aide, and we all worked together on it. But when I was in the neurotypical classes, there was 1 aide that was next to me and possibly another student, so I always had to sit next to that aide with the other. And the aide would help us with understanding the class, and sometimes didn't matter how much I had help in the class. Like this one science class, I was in high school. This teacher just came out of college, did not 1 ounce of English, spoke pure science, and I passed that class D-, and he claimed it was all my own fault. I was asking for him for help. I was constantly going in between classes. I was literally going in there during my free time before classes actually started. Morning, there was a break period. When you first got into the school, you could spend like a half hour however you wanted at Canely. So then I went into that classroom, worked with him, had the aide help me. I literally spent the first half hour of almost every day of that week trying to figure out how can I bring up my grade in class. And he said it was my own fault. And I'm like, no, you can't speak proper English. And for some odd reason, even now he's still a teacher there, and I despised that kid. Yes, he was fresh out of college. Yes, he spoke unique, but it was just, I couldn't do anything.
That is aggravating. I had a similar situation to that where I'm already bad with history because my memory sucks, and like with history stuff they kind of need you to remember things. So like I said, one of my accommodations was supposed to be typing on a computer and taking notes. I've tried taking advantage of the, someone else writing notes for me and giving them to me, but I can't read handwriting, so it was like no point to that. So for this one class, it was like a history class taught by this lady I think she's from Burma. So she has this really thick accent. So she's hard to understand, but she's also like super old fashioned and she doesn't use visuals. She just talks. Like it's just all lecture. So talking in a super thick accent about history, expecting everyone to write the stuff down by hand because no laptops or electronics were allowed in the classroom. It was the most boring shit ever, and I couldn't process hardly anything she was saying. And even though, like I said, that was an accommodation for me to have the laptop, she didn't allow it. Because for some reason, in some cases, professors can override that if they believe that's not a reasonable accommodation. So needless to say, I got a B- in that class. And, I tried my darndest. I could barely pass.
That is funny right there, because that sounds like the same teacher that suspended a student for saying "God bless you" when someone sneezed.
Oh my God, that's so petty.
And you teach a specific teacher, I don't know which state, had a list of words students were not allowed to say that she or he did not like. A kid sneezed in a classroom. The student said, "God bless you," and the teacher sent the students to the principal to have a suspension for saying "God bless you." I'm thinking, okay, you've got to be. And on that list of words, one of them, and I cannot believe one of the words was "I don't." One of the phrases, "I don't know," "God bless you." Can you repeat that?
Oh my God.
Words that just made me go, "Are you stupid? You are literally punishing students for questioning. You want them to understand you in the first go. You should not be a teacher. I'm sorry."
Wow, that teacher would do awful in a class full of autistic kids.
Oh God, she would have the entire class kicked out before they even started.
Well, we're gonna just kick her out. But all of the students will go up to her and be like, "Hey, you're fired."
Pretty much. Oh God, it just makes me go, help.
So anyway, let's look at the list. There was one other thing. Actually, I think we kind of exhausted most of these. Yeah, so is there anything else that we want to add before we wrap up? Because we probably should wrap up. We've been talking for a little over 2 hours. So does anybody else in the chat, does anybody have any questions for us or anything?
No.
I mean, except for like, go fuck yourself. That's not good advice.
Yeah, no, that really doesn't work in some cases. Some of us used other ways.
Revolt says teacher needs to show some respect and support for people with disabilities. Yep. Nadaj says cookie. Yes, Nadaj, you can have a cookie.
Yes.
I wonder if there's a cookie emoji. I want to find one.
I think there is a cookie emoji. I can't remember for sure. I actually have to flip through it.
I found a weird cyborg squid.
Well,
I don't think that's what he wants. Or like a fish. Who's a fish? Oh man, there's a lot. There's stinky cheese. Oh, I found the cookie, but it's kind of sad. It's got a bite out of it, and he's got a face, and it says "Nom," and he looks scared.
What about the triangle rice? There's another one that's circle and brown. Which one's that one? Because I know it's Asian.
Where is it? It's actually a good amount of emojis here that I haven't even used.
Well, there's them to you on.
Yeah, there's like that, but I don't think they're in like the official like Twitch emojis. Oh. Let me see if it works though, because I have an emoji keyboard, so I can. Let me try to.
Hey, they work. I just
Wait.
sent them on Twitch.
Oh, you did? I didn't see.
Well, I
I
just
wanna-
sent
I
them
wanna
in the
throw them in
general chat.
Yeah, it works. No, I was trying Twitch
Well,
chat. So
on the
there's a
general
rice ball.
keyboard.
Rice ball.
Round rice ball.
Cool.
Closest.
This was a lot of fun. I'm gonna end this on an ad break because I'm an asshole. But like after we're done talking, I mean.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that we pretty much have covered everything. But thank you guys for joining me. And I hope that you, I guess, got something out of this. And yeah, and bye.
Bye-bye.
Yay.
Later.
I'm still on the call. We got 60 seconds before I press exit. Oh, Revolt used the applause thing. Yay.
Applause.
Adios. Na 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 na. Fish head. Are you a fish?
Are you still recording us?
I am. We got 30 seconds before I hit end stream, so
Hello. And I. Shut up.
So I forgot what I was gonna say. I like waffles though. Oh, so tomorrow I'm going to be playing Zelda. So that's gonna be fun.
Yep, that'd be fun.
Yeah, it'll be lots of fun. So I'm sad that I didn't reach my donation goal. Oh well. Okay, gonna end the stream now.